This year, 881. 8 to 9 a.m. Last year, 569 calls. This year, 1,123.
Nice.
9 to 10 a.m. last year, 210 calls. This year, 1,100. This year, 867. The power of the people. 11 a.m. to noon. Last year, 82 phone calls. This year, 359, and they're crediting this program. So I'm pretty proud of the Opie and Anthony audience.
Let's totally knock it out of the park today, the last day of the event, and let's just show them what our listeners are capable of doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, obviously, Imus. You know, a lot of people don't realize this. The guy's been doing radio for how long now?
Almost 40 years.
Yeah, and now he's sitting there, and we know the feeling. Me and Opie were talking on the phone last night. We know how this feels, to sit there after being fired, watching the television, watching all the reports about you being fired, and you're sitting there, and it sinks in that, oh my God, I don't have a radio job to go to.
Yeah.
You know, and the guy genuinely enjoys doing radio. So
I was having flashbacks last night.
Yeah.
And I was telling Lindsay, don't mind me, man. But this is like, I live this. All of a sudden, you're seeing the crawl with your name. You're turning on every news channel, and they're just rushing and get people to talk badly about you. And half the people that were talking badly about Imus last night, I'm like, what a hypocrite. That guy was on his show like 100 times.
Yeah.
And that guy, what?
That's
and then you got Keith
feel.
Olbermann, the biggest pussy in broadcasting. He has to tell a drunken Imus story that's like 20 years old. What a douche. But they're all piling on, and they're coming out of the woodwork to just completely kill this guy. And I'm like, half of you guys were on his show when you needed promotion for something, and you're making believe you never did his show.
You know, if you're going to tell a 20-year-old story, why not just tell about the Tawana Brawley case? That's 20 years old. How about you tell that story? And how Stephen Pagonis still hasn't been paid by Reverend Al.
Yeah. Well, we're broadcasting from a radio station called Free FM. Oof. The phone number for the Radiothon to help sick kids, and you're helping out Mr. Imus, and you're making a statement today, even if it's just $1, man. 877-877-6464. That's 877-877-6464. We'll continue with the Opie and Anthony show.
Hear what everyone else is talking about. O&A Uncut and Live, continuing the show on XM Satellite Radio, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. Visit xmradio.com to subscribe.
It's the Opie and Anthony Show on 92.3 Free FM. Free FM.
His wife there go, if you have hate mail, send it to my husband. He's like, wow, this is a trooper.
I mean, this is, some knucklehead sending these kids on this basketball team hate mail. They're just absolutely repulsive and repugnant, and that's got to stop. But how are you guys?
We're doing good. I want to know how Imus is doing, dude. How's Imus holding up?
This isn't about him. I mean, again, we want to focus on healing these young girls and all women and anyone that, has suffered from hearing these remarks. And, Opie and Anthony, I thank you for being so supportive and helping us raise this money, because even yesterday when you helped us, we were way ahead than any other year raising money for these two charities.
It's a great cause. I mean, something Imus has championed for years, and I understand you guys want to focus on the team and making sure they don't get any of these letters and any animosity and the people taking things out on them. But the thing I just kind of want to know out of concern is Imus has been in this business for so many years, and to just have it yanked out from under him, I just want to know how he's doing as a human being, as a fellow radio guy that knows how awful it is to have your job taken away from you. Is he at least in good spirits? I understand he's remorseful, but how's he doing?
He seems fine.
He feels awful. He feels, after meeting with these girls and getting that opportunity.
Job taken away from you. Is he at least in good spirits? I understand he's remorseful, but how's he doing?
He seems fine.
Yeah.
He feels awful. He feels, after meeting with these girls and getting that opportunity to talk with them and have them tell us how they feel. I mean, he asked them, I want to know the pain I caused, and I need to know how to fix this and change this.
Yeah. And how did the meeting go last night?
It was several hours, and it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And I think that we need more dialogue and more conversation in this, not just conversation, but doing, where we truly all understand each other.
Hey guys, it's Joel, and I just spent some time with Don. He just wanted to thank you guys for everything you did yesterday and helping raise money. That's really what he wanted to do yesterday and today, and not have the spotlight be on this. And I got to tell you, you really stepped up, and I appreciate it very much. You guys have been there, and you don't want to know what it means to the families, to the charity. To raise an extra $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, and nobody asked you to do it, is really very special. And Don really thanks you guys a lot.
Well, there's absolutely no other thing we could do with all this going on. Especially now, I know we can talk about certain things that I know are a little sensitive on your guys' side. I just saw this as MSNBC. And now CBS kind of yanking the rug out from under Imus when he was on his last day of doing something really great. If he had to go out on this note, I think it would have been a lot better to have him serve out his last day raising money for sick kids. I'll never understand that, why he was pulled. Monday, it's the station's prerogative, the company's prerogative to fire him if that's what they want to do. But to take the last day of such an important thing and something he felt so strongly about and can him before that is just, I can't understand it.
Well, you guys, I agree. It did seem certainly a little precipitous, to put it at best, but I tell you, we all can't thank you enough, Opie and Anthony, for stepping up, and you guys, who knows, you may have put us this far ahead, but we are well ahead of where we were last year.
Well, I hope so.
So thank you so much.
Well, give the big plug for the radiothon, because you got a lot of people listening right now.
This is O&A joining us by simulcast. They're a 92.3 Free FM here.
For now.
Also all around. What's going, guys? The virus is spreading?
That's what they say. It's barely spreading.
And so you can call and help us out right now with our 18th annual radiothon at 1-877-877-6464 or online by clicking the WFAN Radiothon banner at WFAN.com and simply have your credit card ready. And guys, thank you again so much.
That's great. Charles, Deidre, Joel.
Guys, appreciate it. It's 19 minutes now after the hour.
Thanks.
DRA worked with my creditors and cut my debt in half.
Our credit card bill.
We're going to listen to their show too, Hope?
Huh?
Maybe if we air a little of them, we can do less.
Yeah, why not? We're just trying to get
do less
today.
work.
I understand the position the Imuses are in, but
they're in a very odd position.
We are concerned for Imus as a human being. We are concerned that the media has barely touched on the fact that he's done some amazing things with his radio career, including this radiothon he does every year for the last 18 years.
And we understand he's been a crotchety old bastard to some people.
Sure.
We're not disillusioned here.
Sure.
But we've all taken our pot shots at each other in good fun. And as a fellow radio personality, that's why I'm concerned about how he's doing, because me and Opie are so effing familiar with this situation, the way it played out. The way it played out, me and Opie are talking on the phone constantly during this, just going, oh my God, did you see this? Did you see this one? Did you see move 23B? That we, it was just like these things that were happening that were so familiar to us that the reason I want to know how Imus was doing is I know how this feels. And I can't imagine how it feels after so many years of being on the air. Hell, we're just pretty much recently back compared to his career from our, debacle that we had when we got thrown off the air. And to feel that way is not fun, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of how you feel about him being responsible for this and the awful things he said, or if it's freedom of speech, regardless of any of that. It's a guy that we relate to as a radio personality that is going through something we went through twice and know how bad that feels.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering how he was doing, that's all.
And you know, the bond started between us and Imus. When we first came to New York, we took on everybody. Howard, the mayor, Imus, other radio shows that have come and gone. And he was pretty much the only one that found humor in the fact that we were attacking him.
Yeah, we were
like, wow, this guy is a pretty special guy. Because, you know, most egos in radio, they just stink. They just stink. They can't handle anyone, like, actually making fun of them. They're the ones that's supposed to make fun of everybody else. And how dare you actually make fun of them? When Imus was one of these guys, and obviously does a great Imus, we went after him just like we went after everybody else. And it got back to us like, he's like, those boys are funny.
We'd goof on him and be like, you know, I don't know what to say, but goddamn, they're funny. That's funny stuff that they're doing over there. Yeah. So we're like, wow, you know, you goof on a guy and he says that you're funny. It totally takes the punch out of it. And, you know, we've had our shots back and forth, but really in good fun.
And then I bonded with the guy, because we never really met him. You don't really meet other radio guys, because you're just too busy, you know, waking up early. And
much too self-important.
Yeah, and trying to get as much sleep as possible before your next show. It doesn't leave much time to socialize with other guys. But when I was off the air, you know, I went to the book review in Huntington Village, and he was doing a signing, and I'm like, man, I always wanted to meet this guy. He's a legend in broadcasting.
Of course.
And he was putting out a book about his ranch. And I went to the book review, and the line was ridiculous. So I sat in, like, the cafe drinking coffee, waiting. And then I got on the end of the line. I didn't go to the front of the line or nothing like that. And I'm like, man, I don't even know what he's going to do when, you know, I tell him who I am. But I just felt like I had to meet him. And I get up there, and I give him my book, and I'm the last person. He's like, oh, what's your name? He was exhausted. And I told him, hey, it's Opie from the Opie and Anthony Show. His eyes lit up. He looks at me. He's like, sit down. And we ended up hanging out for like an hour after the signing, just talking about everything. And he was nothing but supportive as far as what happened to us. And I never forgot that. And I was like, man, I will defend this guy to the end.
He called us. A lot of people say, you know, he was responsible for getting us back on the air. What he did was called us and gave us advice as to what he thought we should do. Some of it we didn't take, you know. I don't think Imus was very supporting of us going to satellite.
No, and we were all about satellite. And he's like, you know, satellite's great, but you got to remember, this is when satellite was only talking about like 2 million subscribers on XM.
In its infancy.
Now they're pushing 8. Now it's becoming a thing, and then with the merger, it's really becoming a thing. But back then, he's like, look, guys, don't ignore regular radio. You're not done on regular radio. And stupid Ant and I were like, we have to be done after what we did. We're done. He's like, you're not done. And then he kind of suggested that maybe we should take the job in Albuquerque, was it?
Yeah,
or something. And I'm like,
why don't you go to Albuquerque?
It proved that you don't have devil horns.
I'm like, no, we don't want to go to Albuquerque. You know, it's nice there. Dry heat. It's wonderful. No.
But when you were off the air, you had a lot of time in your hands to go to the book. Didn't you go to the Joe Franklin book signing, too?
All right.
Yeah, Opie was constantly down at that goddamn bookstore in Huntington. Who's going to be there? Martha Stewart?
Opie was going to hi, do you remember me? All right, sit down and get online.
Emerald, I love when you say bam. Could you sign my book?
A little known fact, because we come across as just being a bunch of dopes on the radio. I ended up reading well over 100 books after we got fired. I was reading a book a day, a book a week.
There's that little bookstore in Huntington. Opie's just there all the time. Hey, you see who I met? It's wonderful.
Actually, I met Clinton at the same
You got pictures with Bill Clinton, too.
I guess I was a stalker.
Occasionally you get the big guys, and then occasionally you get, you know.
I was a stalker of writers.
Is that Adam Ferrara?
Oh, my God.
Right.
Bob Phelan, could you sign my wrench?
You know what? You're right. My story stinks, and I was at that bookstore every day.
Book signing.
No, but that shows you what happens, though, to radio personalities that get fired. You don't know what the hell their duty is. Look, Imus is going to be, could you sign my book? I'm going to book signings. This sucks.
So I'm at the stamp convention.
Yeah. You know what? You're 100% right.
Is that a 1967 5-cent stamp?
Hi, I'm Opie.
I was thinking about coin collecting or stamps. Hey, Opie. It's Imus. How you doing? Imus, it's 2 in the morning. I got to get up at 4. Yeah, I'm bored. Just watching the Lost box set. This show's amazing. Never saw it when
I was on the air because I was had to go to sleep early.
I'm tired. I gotta go to sleep.
Thinking of putting a pool in. Thinking of, like, swimming. What do you think about that? Is that,
Look, I'm tired. I have to get up for work.
Yeah, rub it in. Yeah, rub it in.
Not rubbing anything in. We'll probably be in the same boat as you, and we can hang out at some point, but...
Yeah. No, go ahead. You're busy. I'll find someone else, whatever. So, call me tomorrow, please.
Ed speaks the truth because I don't allow a lot of people into my personal life, but when I do, I can't get rid of these people. Like Dice used to do the same thing, and then decide he hates me, and we still don't know why. Whatever, that's for another day. But he would call me every single night for hours on end, and I'm like, what the hell did I do to deserve this?
Opie, it's Imus. You want to go to the beach?
Yeah.
I was thinking, pack a cooler, go to the beach.
Imus, I got work.
Blow it off. Cut work. I want to go to the beach.
Jeez.
Me and you hit the links. I don't golf much, but I've been thinking of taking it up.
No. Don't you have Imus, don't you have something to do?
No. Do you want to wear my hat? Put on my cowboy hat. Look, I bought you one. I bought you one just like Iman's. Me and you could hang out. We'll look like father and son. Opie, you wake up.
Sorry, Imus, it's 2:30 in the morning. I was sleeping.
Yeah.
Man. Hey, what's with all these reality shows? You see Sanjaya still on? You believe it? Can't believe that.
Imus, please.
I gotta sleep.
I'm tired. Oh, God, I'm tired.
E-Rock is writing a line for you that is pretty funny. I just got Pal Talk line.
Yeah, hey, you guys check out this Pal Talk thing? I'm talking with a happy typing girl. It's great. Look at, oh my God. There's this other chick showing her cans. Oh, but you just come in. Hold on. I gotta shut it off.
E-Rock suggested that Imus's name would be Happy Typing Imus.
Don't tell anybody, but I'm I-Man on Whackbag.
Hey,
Opie, how do I sound? I just got a new cell phone.
Yeah, you sound
good?
You sound wonderful, yeah.
What the hell time is it?
It's 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
I wanted to get another hour and a half.
I'm used to getting up at this time.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
Hopefully
soon you'll be getting up early again.
Well, I hope so. But what are you doing today?
Radio show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry
I remember
to
that.
but
Does Norton need someone to sell his shirts? I'm willing to go to the virus tour, and I'll man the booth. I'm not doing nothing. Where you going, Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I join you?
Yeah, let's take your private plane.
Yeah. Look at this.
What?
Girls Gone Wild commercials on. You ever see these things? I'm thinking of getting the Bowflex. What do you think? You want the... Oh, you ever use the Bowflex?
No.
You sound tired.
I'm really tired.
What time is it?
It's now 3:30.
3:30? Wow, we've been talking like an hour.
I know, and
Time flies when I talk with you.
And we hung up at midnight, so you get about 3 hours sleep here.
Hey, can I come into the show? I'll just stand there. I swear I won't talk.
And look at the equipment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, look, it's 4 a.m. Hey, you want to rollerblade? Through the park, me and you. I know you like rollerblading. I know all the things. I could skitch on a truck. I've done some skitching. Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Poe won't let me up in the building.
No.
Can I?
You guys
Master Poe is making me fill out
gotta stay downstairs.
Yeah, if you can't sleep, Ron Bennington is still awake. Ron and Fez show. Maybe I'll call him. All right. Have a good show.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Imus. Why did I ever meet you at that bookstore? What the hell did I get myself into?
You know, I'll tell you what. I'm going to help raise money next week in Fort Lauderdale at the Improv. Next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to help raise money.
Oh, look at that. Nice. Next week?
Nice plug.
Yeah.
Next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Rich Voss, who's in studio for Jim Norton, is already in Vegas for our little thing we're doing tomorrow night. He'll be at the Fort Lauderdale Improv. All right, we'll take a break. Don't forget about that phone number to donate to the 18th annual Radiothon. Imus's wife is actually on the air doing it with Charles McCord. To donate, call 877-877-6464. Tell him Opie and Anthony sent you.
It's the Opie and Anthony Show on 92.3 Free FM.
92.3.
Did they make it?
I had to go home. It was 4 o'clock and they still didn't get shot.
Wondering if it changes, right?
That was the beauty of the whole thing. I don't think they ever got to the money shot.
Snuck out and the Mexicans couldn't hit him.
No exaggeration. It was like, I think they advanced it a frame every minute or whatever. I don't know, 5 minutes. It was ridiculous how slow it was. Anyway, Keith Olbermann, who's the biggest douche out there. We could still say that, right?
Biggest?
He's up there.
He's up there.
As far as Whitey goes,
Yeah.
as far as Whitey goes, Whitey broadcasters, he's a douche.
Whitey douche?
He's a goody two-shoes. He had to brag on the air and then tell everyone after the fact that he ran to his boss and said that Imus needs to be fired. And he does a TV show every night on MSNBC. He could have spoke, he could have spoke his mind, but he chose not to because they told him not to.
He's one of those people that's we're the internal people at NBC,
Yeah, but
which is one of the reasons
I have no respect for anyone that all of a sudden speaks their mind after they feel it's safe. It's safe and it's okay now to do it.
Yeah.
You're just a wimp.
Does the Imus situation do for talk and sports radio what Janet Jackson did for TV?
Very much, I think very much so. I think it makes people aware that, and I'm not sure that some of the leading malefactors in this area understand that they are going to be under a microscope now. But, from Opie and Anthony to Rush Limbaugh, you're just not going to be able to do these things anymore.
Why?
And if you do, there is now an effective means of protest and if you will, an emboldened or encouraged, depending on your point of view, protest group ready to strike. And I don't know that that's a bad thing. I mean, I just, I think my career would be testimony to the fact that you can make fun of people without resorting to racial slurs and sexual slurs.
Don't you understand?
You can make fun of people?
If you want to bust somebody's chops, there are lots of ways to do it that can be mean and edgy and still funny, and yet stay within a certain boundary. And I think this is finally, we've all been lax about this.
Oh, great. That's your definition
Don't
of
you
comedy.
understand that boundary is moving as we speak, you idiot? Doesn't he understand that? And doesn't he understand the person that asked that question with the Janet Jackson incident?
That's Dan Patrick. He's better doing sports scores. What does he know?
The Janet Jackson incident, what it did for television, he's saying this will do for radio. The Janet Jackson incident was considered an FCC violation. Let's keep that in perspective.
These guys don't even know the basic facts of this stuff.
Nudity on television, a bare breast, albeit she had something there, but it was considered a bare breast on television during a time where you're not supposed to show bare breasts on television. FCC violation. Regardless of if you agree with it or not, the FCC stepped in. That was the problem with that. This is not an FCC issue. This is hurting people's feelings issue. Bad? Maybe. People don't like it. Yeah. Offensive? Certainly. But well within your rights. And this effective means, he's saying, of quashing this by protesting is mob tactics. It's threats that are meant to keep you from exercising your right to free speech.
And with that, we got Sean Hannity on the line. Sean.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Welcome to the Opie and Anthony Show. I want to start by saying you and Alan Combs, we make fun of Alan a little bit here on our show, but you guys did a great job last night.
Bravo.
I was flipping around the channels, and I'm like, will someone speak up and at least bring the freedom of speech thing into this thing?
Let me tell you, these are dangerous times.
Yep.
For every single solitary person that gets in front of a radio microphone on a daily basis.
Regardless of their stance politically, racially.
It means nothing.
Right.
Absolutely. Listen, if they can get Imus, and I don't even like. I know you guys are friends with him. I don't particularly like the guy.
Okay.
All right. That has nothing to do with it.
You know, Sean, he's not a very likable guy to a lot of people.
Yeah, he really is.
That's why I think we got along so well.
Yeah, exactly. Sean, we're not very likable to a lot of people, so...
You know what? I don't really find that true. I've met you guys. Hey, we've been trying to get you on TV all week. I don't know.
Yeah, no crap. Our agent's been calling us. We've been hiding under the bed, Sean.
Instead of us, you had to have Elizabeth Hasselback and Geraldo. Woo!
Well, we also had our buddy Patrice.
Yeah, Patrice.
Patrice did a very, very good job.
I thought he was outstanding.
Yeah.
And I think, look, I tell you, these are going to be chilling times. I mean, when you add to this, for example, the fairness doctrine that's being debated in Congress, and everything else is associated here. But I'm going to tell you what, on so many different levels, this is insanity. The fact that the two people that have led this charge have the histories that they have.
Oh, absolutely.
And the incendiary things that they have said on a regular basis. I don't need to repeat it. I'm sure you guys have gone through it. Diamond merchants.
Ad nauseum, yeah.
White interlopers. You know, hey, I'm sick of hearing about the Holocaust. Can you imagine somebody saying that to me?
Oh, my God. Forget about it. What? Oh, that's ancient history. That's the old days.
Yeah, well, these are the old days. I've got a tape of probably one of the most prominent. We all have different formats in radio. It's known as the urban format. Of one of the most prominent DJs. Do you remember when that little girl, I think her name was Bethany Hamilton, remember she lost her arm?
Yes.
When the shark bit it off?
Yep, the surfer.
The surfer.
Yep.
Right. You know what they did that day? On that show?
What?
They played, you know the Mac the Knife, you know that song?
Right, the shark bites, yeah, Jesus.
They use the words bite white, biting whitey.
And you have tape of this?
Oh, yeah.
Now, how come that doesn't... You have tape of this. You could play it. And how come that doesn't make people outraged?
It's a double standard.
Oh, I don't... Yeah, well, there was some minor, small controversy. Now, here's another interesting twist to that. Guess who's a regular guest on the program? That program on a regular basis.
Reverend Al Sharpton.
Reverend Al Sharpton. So now here's an interesting question. If Reverend Al Sharpton were to hear the tape... I mean, and there's laughing and mocking and kidding around in the background. Now, I want to also say, I don't want that host fired. I don't want his advertisers taken away.
Yep.
I don't want him taken off the air. Maybe he could apologize. That would be a nice thing.
Yeah.
And after that, I think, you know, we should be, generally speaking, sensitive to people's feelings, especially the innocent. Those Rutgers basketball players, they're not in the public eye. They're good kids. They have achieved so much in their life. They don't deserve to be attacked. This young girl that lost her arm, she's not in the public eye. She doesn't deserve to be attacked. Now, you and I, we all deserve to get the living daylights beaten out of us.
Right. Yeah.
We're out there giving opinions every day.
As does Reverend Al and Jesse Jackson.
Absolutely.
And I was listening to a program last night where a gentleman was calling for me and Opie to be removed from the air. He played a clip of a parody that we had done years ago about Reverend Al when Reverend Al went to Africa to purchase slaves and free them. So we did kind of a bit on the fact of how ironic it is that Reverend Al, for a short time between the purchase and freeing, would be a slave owner and parodied that situation. It was taken during his playing of the clip completely out of context. And if you can't parody a public figure like Reverend Al in that way, we're doomed.
Listen, I've listened to your show a lot over the years. I often hear your repeat on satellite. And you know what? You guys go right up to that line and right over it all the time. Honestly.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you something. It's going to be a sad day for radio if they can take you guys off the air.
Yeah.
It's going to be a sad day if they try and get Stern off the air. It's going to be a sad day if liberals in Congress use the fairness doctrine and they go after Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, the great one, Mark Levin.
Well, by the way, I didn't hear our name as much last night and the last few days, but I heard all the political talk show hosts They went Neil Board, Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh. They went right down the line there.
Yeah, because, listen, I know at the highest levels of the Democratic Party that they are seriously, talking about bringing back the fairness doctrine, which would mandate that if we give out an opinion, then we have to give equal
time. Yeah.
Yuck. Disagrees with us. You know, one of the great hypocrisy here, this really drives me nuts. First of all, it drives me nuts, who all of a sudden died and named Reverend Sharpton and Reverend Jackson the speech police in the country.
Yeah.
That drives me nuts.
We're just amazed that this is coming from those two guys. Well, I would almost have a little more respect for this whole thing if it was anyone else.
Yeah.
Anyone else.
But they're trying. What I'm watching is the things they're saying on the air. First of all, they seem to be saying, well, this is an agenda about cleaning up the airwaves and cleaning up our culture.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they've been serious about stopping demeaning language about African Americans, about women, not to mention other people, would they have not been picketing radio stations that for the last decade have played, what Imus has said times a million on a daily basis?
Yeah, well, see now, Sean, you're deflecting the real issue here. That's what I'll say, because I heard that about 20 times last night. You're deflecting from the issue.
Deflecting. If that language is wrong, if we're having a coarsening of the culture,
Mm-hmm.
their real motive is not Don Imus, but what he said and about innocent women that are being attacked, then shouldn't the same standard be applied to everybody?
Well, now that Imus is gone, why isn't Reverend Al up bright and early in front of some of the hip-hop stations, at some of the hip-hop labels, demanding that they drop these artists from their record label because they are demeaning and offensive to women and to their culture? Where is he?
It's a great point here because, where does Sharpton, in this particular case, where does he think some of these songs are being played? They're being played on the radio.
Yeah.
They're being played on the public airwaves. I don't think that there's ever been an example where he's tried to go after specific hosts or corporations that are making money. Listen, I know you guys aren't political, but I can even take it into the political arena for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Just 2 weeks ago, remember the big announcement that Hillary had raised $26 million in the first quarter for her presidential campaign? The last campaign stop that she made was at the Miami home of a record producer, rap record producer and singer Timberland. I don't even know the guy. Do you know?
Yeah, he's a big-time hip-hop producer.
Okay, well, I think it was his latest album. I don't remember the name of the song. I have it written down somewhere. Guess how many times they use the N-word in one song?
Really?
I'll go with 25.
24, very good.
Wow.
Thank you, Sean. I actually...
24 times, and that record executive raised $800,000 for Hillary Clinton.
Jeez.
Will Hillary give the money back?
Yeah.
If she's so upset about the coarsening of the culture, is she going to condemn these guys?
The hypocrisy is so rampant, it's almost hard to point out because it's so huge, you can't really get a beat on it and point it out to somebody because it's just running rampant.
Now, Sean, you think the media in general is going to now try to push back a little bit? I mean, Reverend Al had the spotlight all this week, but are we going to start pushing back?
Has a victory, he's smelling blood in the water, now what?
Are people going to start coming out of the woodwork to defend some of this stuff, or are we going to just run away and then be cowards?
I think it's the latter. I think because what'll happen is it'll be one radio show, one radio host at a time, and then ultimately everybody else on the air is going to say, oh, all right, well, at least it's not me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not under fire. But
yeah, we do know how self-centered we all are in radio.
Here's Sharpton's quote: "It's our feeling that this is only the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We must have a broad discussion on what is permitted and not permitted in terms of the airwaves."
Now, Sean, we in radio really understand, and a lot of people are surprised by this, FCC rules. We're schooled on it by our lawyers constantly. We're getting memos and all kinds of things keeping us up to date.
We're probably the most well-versed in the country.
Yeah, we really, because they make sure of it here at CBS now that they've sat us down in front of a lot of paperwork.
We have to take tests on the internet.
Tests
like once every 3 months.
It's amazing.
It's a multiple choice quiz.
Yeah.
The funny thing is,
I'm back in school.
This may sound a little nuts, but I actually think, because everybody in radio knows how, dumb, petty, immature, competitive we all could be at times. it may be time for on-air personality to put aside whatever petty differences they have. You know, people in all backgrounds, formats, morning zoos, some of the urban stations, talk radio, you know, you guys, what you guys do, and maybe everybody unite and say, not going to happen. We're going to stand together and stand up for everybody.
I was kind of saying that to Anthony behind the scenes today.
Yeah.
I think it might be time.
Might be time for some peace talks.
Yeah.
What I was saying about the FCC issue, though, is we're very well versed in FCC regulations. Where is it that in the FCC rules it says you can't hurt someone's feelings or talk about race or make someone feel bad or even offend somebody as long as it isn't offensive in sexual content, obscenity, indecency? I don't believe there's ever been an FCC violation that has had to been paid for what's considered a racist comment.
I can't think of one either.
Yeah.
So I think you're dead on the money, and you know, now the FCC is investigating that. That is a good point.
Now, how then is Reverend Al and Jesse Jackson, because they don't agree with something, because something offends them and their constituency, for whatever that's worth, because I don't see them as leaders, how do they get off deciding what hurts people's feelings, what's offensive, and what should or shouldn't be on the airwaves based on their own race and their own sensitivity as to what upsets them?
That's, you know, look, who's the moral arbiter? Who gets to decide?
Right.
We're going to have the office of the United States Special, you know, Radio Speech Police?
Yeah, exactly. And it won't stop. We've said it time and time again. Once someone gets a victory, you never stop. You move to the next thing and the next thing.
I'm going to tell you something. I thought about you guys yesterday. Now, we've become friendly over the years.
Sure.
And I thought about the company that fired him.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, I thought about you two.
So did we.
I really have got to wonder, you know, how much support they would give you, even under the smallest controversy.
Yeah, our clock is ticking. We're not stupid.
Yeah,
we've been at this a while now.
We're working under a cloud over here, and we know it. I mean,
the good news is you guys are so good at getting fired. You know how to handle it.
Thanks.
I'm only
hey, man, it was too real last night watching all that coverage with Imus.
Listen, I don't want that to happen, and
No, I don't either.
Hey, Sean, you're a stand-up guy, man. We really like you a lot, and I gotta tell you, you know, this will make you happy. I'm moving a little closer to your side.
You know, Anthony,
just a little bit.
You hear this, Anthony?
Yep.
Now that he got the big payday.
Yeah, see?
Being taken from him.
And it's very close to tax time.
Yeah, it's close to tax time.
I'm moving a little closer. You know, there's still some distance between us, but
you know what we call this on my show? We're trying to sanitize you.
Yeah.
Hey, and Sean is truly a good guy, because Elizabeth Hasselbeck was way out of her league last night on TV, and I know you're friends with her and all that. I'll acknowledge that.
She really is.
I know. I'll acknowledge that. But, man, you smelled blood and you backed off, but you made some great points, because she was so excited that Imus got fired, and then she's also saying she believes in freedom of speech, and that's when Alan Combs kind of went at her and really gave her a talking to, and I thought he was great. And then you're bringing up the whole Rosie thing. Like, if you think Imus should have been fired for what he said, what about Rosie and that? I don't even know if we're allowed to say it anymore. The Asian thing she said.
Derogatory Asian.
An Asian slur, and on the air. And by the way, she apologized. And at the time, I said, of course she shouldn't be fired. You know, the thing about Imus, and I watched his apology. I watched it in its entirety, the longer one and the shorter one. I listened to about an hour of him being on the Reverend Sharpton show, and I felt the guy was genuinely sorry, generally embarrassed. He made every promise that he wanted to make good, make it up, and I'm thinking, how is it the guy that was at the Crown Heights riot, you know, when he said all the things he said at Crown Heights, how is it the guy that said white interloper? How is it the guy that said diamond merchants? You know, how is it that the guy that said Hymietown? How is it possible that Al Sharpton and Reverend Jackson, two reverends that are supposed to believe in Jesus and forgiveness and redemption and repentance, how come they couldn't give this, you know, they wouldn't let him off the mat?
No.
Wouldn't give him a chance to make good on it. And I think they missed an opportunity to show America, hey, we've been forgiven, our careers have gone on, we're going to offer that same type of forgiveness to other people. Like, do you remember when Bill Donahue of the Catholic League?
Yeah.
I remember reading a press release he sent out. Nope, we're finished. Opie and Anthony can go back up on the air.
Yeah.
And you guys had a pretty intense fight after the...
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were amazed by
We've since had him on the air maybe 3-4 times, and he's been a great guest on our show.
That was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, at that point, if you're a Christian, I'm a Christian, a Catholic, at some point, all of us have been forgiven. We're all going to screw up in life. When somebody is really out there trying hard to say, I'm sorry and I want to make it right, you know, where's that sense of, you know what, we've all screwed up. All right, you're going to make it right. We're going to be watching.
Well, Sean, what do you think that is? Is that a weakness on Al Sharpton's part?
I don't know. I mean, I think...
Like, I need to drag you down. I need to pull you down.
Here's what...
Where does that come from?
Here's what I see. And I think I brought this up yesterday. We got a caller. It was a black gentleman called up and said, I don't get this. He goes, I don't care about what Imus said. He goes, I go to work. I support my family. I pay my bills. And I said to this guy, I go, you are Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson's worst nightmare. I go, because you're not a victim. You're not playing the part of a victim. You're a working guy. You're taking care of your family. I go, that would put them out of work. That would make their donations for how they make their living, God only knows how, that would all dry up because they need the black people to be victims and downtrodden and poor constantly to keep them in the public eye.
Wait, what would that... If that's true, Anthony, how sad that would be. That, fundamentally, that's the surprise to me, is that I think they have been forgiven a lot. They have been allowed to go on with their careers. I'll even take it a step further. Even though I've disagreed with Reverend Sharpton and Reverend Jackson politically, I think in both cases there have been times they have done a lot of good things for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But that's because they were allowed to stay in the public arena and express their views in spite of the fact that they made a lot of big mistakes. Tawana Brawley was a big mistake.
Huge.
Crown Heights Riot was a big mistake. Freddie's Fashion Mart was a big mistake.
All right, Sean, they're going to cut us off. We're really...
Before you go, I got one question.
Yeah, go.
So you guys coming on TV tonight?
Honestly, we're flying to Vegas for a comedy show.
Vegas.
We're literally leaving right after our show today.
Well, you guys were in the bunker all week.
Yeah.
Hunkered down, Sean noticed.
We've learned. We used to be like, oh, TV cameras, okay, we'll talk. And then people are like, what are you doing?
Well, if you can come on next week, I'm sure it's still going to be an issue. Let me know.
All right, let's figure that out. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, man.
All right, ABC in New York, right, Sean? He's gone.
Yep.
You know where to find Sean Hannity. He's all over the place.
He's a great guy.
We got a break. We're really late. It's Opie and Anthony really fast at WFAN 18th Annual Radiothon benefiting the Tomorrow's Children's Fund, the CJ Foundation for SIDS, and the Imus Ranch continues this morning. This was Imus's cause. He did it for 18 years. His wife's doing it today because they kicked him off the radio, obviously. Donate, 877-877-6464. You're helping sick kids. Tell them Opie and Anthony sent you, please.
Yeah.
Let your voice be heard.
Show them what you can do, listeners.
Even if it's just $1. 877-877-6464. It's Opie and Anthony.
It's the Opie and Anthony Show.
92.3 Free FM.
Free FM.
Sense of responsibility. They start to gain their self-esteem, their sense of purpose, their self-worth, their dignity. They truly start to see that they can do anything any other kid can do.
Oh, absolutely. Laura, of course, is treated at Tomorrow's Children through the Cure and Beyond office, and they're the ones that actually suggested the ranch the first time around, and it was a great suggestion on their part. Just with everything they've ever suggested, we've kind of gone along and said, oh, yeah, this is okay. This is working out great. And the ranch was just really a ranch. It's not a camp. It's not like, go to camp, have fun with your friends. But she came back. She had, the friends, the photographs, the cookbook.
Oh, that's great.
And just,
And again, camps are great, and there's a place for them. But you're right, Barbara, we did a working cattle ranch for kids with cancer where they work, and by instilling this, and having that whole cowboy experience authentic as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it's to restore their self-esteem and their dignity. and their sense of purpose. We don't talk about their cancer when they're there. We don't patronize these kids. We don't treat them any differently. We have empathy and compassion, but we're there to provide an environment where they discover it for themselves. We've just created the environment where they can, through this discipline, start to recognize that in themselves. And simple things like we had a young girl there that was petrified to get on the horse, and that was a huge hurdle to get her to the point where she could get on the horse. Oh, I would be afraid to get on. I was. When we started the ranch, I had never been on a horse before, so I had to take her crash courses, literally, in knowing how to ride. And then we have the ranch rodeo, which is amazing. I mean, the rodeo, the competition, what we have found is the children become so competitive that they forget that they have cancer, or they don't feel well, or they might have a prosthetic leg or limb or one eye or parts. Exactly. That doesn't matter. That they won't be defined by their disease. Rather, their life, the cancer or the disease fits into their life. Right. And we just Laura, you're adorable. We love you, and you have an amazing child. She's just all sweetness, amazing. Sweetness and love, and yes, and so if you can make a donation now by calling 1-877-877-6464. Again, that number is 1-877-877-6464. To make a donation online, click on the Radiothon banner at WFAN.com. You could use your Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover card. And we are 40 minutes into the hour here, and we are at about well over $2,516,000. So thank you, and Barbara, thank you, and Laura, we hope to see you again, and good luck in school.
Thank you.
You're 17 years old now, right?
16.
No, 16. Oh, you're 16.
Next time I'll be
17. Okay. So we thank you again, and I'm going to make sure I tell Wyatt I saw you today.
He will be excited, I'm sure.
Well, she talks about Wyatt.
That's great. That's great.
Well, thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you both very much, and good luck in your college explorations.
Yes.
That's a whole new challenge.
You bet it is. So that's what's going on. Once again, make your donation right now. Click on the Radiothon banner at WFAN.com. If you run into a lot of traffic at our phone center, they are experiencing that to some degree. But call us, please, at 1-877-877-6464. Please do it right now, and obviously it goes without saying. We very much appreciate your continued generosity and support of the Radiothon, and thank you to Barbara Parisi and Laura Parisi. And it is now 42 minutes after the hour.
Cellist Yo-Yo Ma, one of the great stars of classical music, enthralls audiences all over the world with his passion and artistry. When it comes to picking a cello, he tends toward Italian instruments made in the 18th century. When it comes to a timepiece, however, he favors an instrument crafted in Switzerland, the Rolex Datejust. Since Rolex introduced the first self-winding calendar wristwatch in 1945, the Datejust has become one of the most sought-after models in the Oyster line. With its classic oyster design and magnified date window, the Datejust is every bit as distinctive as the master cellist who wears it. To see the Datejust and a complete selection of other Rolex timepieces, visit your official Rolex jeweler.
See what a new watch can say about you at Tourneau, the world's largest watch store since 1900. Madison at 52nd, 7th Avenue at 34th, the shops at Columbus Circle and Roosevelt Field, the Tourneau Time Machine 57th at Madison, and now at the Walt Whitman Mall, Huntington Station.
Hey, my name's Bob Kelvin. I've been working at WFAN for 20 years, and there's been one constant. I still weigh over 200 pounds. So, in celebration of the fan's 20th anniversary, I decided to lose 3 pounds for every year we've been on the air. How am I going to accomplish this gastronomical feat? I've got 2 words for you. Zone Chefs. Zone Chefs is convenient, with 3 delicious meals and 2 mouth-watering snacks delivered to your door fresh each day before 5 a.m. This food is fresh. It's prepared by some of the country's best chefs. With 120 days of variety, you'll never get bored with the food. No, they really shouldn't call it a diet. It's a pleasure. The food is terrific. It's customized for your own food preferences, including allergies or any restrictions you may have. I'm down 30 pounds in just over 2 months. Now, you can do it, too. All you got to do is call Zone Chefs, 1-800-597-CHEF. That's 1-800-597-CHEF, or online at zonechefs.com.
Nobody ever accused banks of being particularly user-friendly. A trip to the bank isn't exactly up there terribly high on anybody's list of favorite activities. Run into long lines, rude service, complicated product choices, all of that's usually the norm for a banking experience. And you ever notice how some banks promise you free services and try to, the add-ons, to sell you a bunch of expensive stuff you don't need, you can't even understand, really. North Fork Bank continues to buck the trend in modern-day banking, serving up just the right balance of easy-to-use technology, backed up by old-fashioned friendly service. Remember when people actually move their lips to talk to each other instead of banging away at a keyboard? Well, that kind of rare activity actually happens every day at any one of North Fork Bank's 350 branches all across the tri-state area, soon to expand their reach all across America through its merger with Capital One. North Fork doing what other banks can only aspire to do. North Fork Bank serves millions of customers every day, but always has room for one more customer, and that is North Fork Bank, member FDIC.
Excuse me, do you know what time it is?
Of course I know what time it is. I understand, okay?
The tax deadline is fast approaching, and a lot of people still haven't done their taxes.
Does anyone else want to ask me what time it is?
But there's an easy way to get rid of your tax anxiety. TurboTax.com, where for a limited time, you can get your taxes done with TurboTax Federal Free Edition.
Why does everyone think I don't know what time it is?
TurboTax.com. Log on, and you're done.
Look, people, I don't need the pressure.
Are you stressed out and tired of trying to make ends meet? Would you like to earn between $500 to $7,000 or more a month? HomeBiz5.com would like to show you how you could earn a full-time income by starting with just a few hours a week.
I actually made about $1,200 my very first month in the business. Now it's well over 10 times that.
For your free DVD and information package, please log on to HomeBiz5.com. Shipping is not included. Log on now to HomeBiz5.com. That's HomeBiz5.com.
Hey, this is John Stewart, everybody, talking about the Mets again this year. And here's why you got to go to Mets.com, why you got to call 718-507-TIXX and get your season tickets for the Mets right now. Because this is it, my friends. You remember Game 7 against the Cardinals. But here's the beauty of that game. Okay, the Mets lost. You didn't get to the World Series, but you believed. You believed until that last moment that the Mets were going to somehow pull this off, because that's the kind of team they were. They had a lot of heart. They never gave up. They came back. This year we're playing all the way. We're winning the pennant. We're playing into November, December, January. So go get your tickets right now. Unless, of course, you're against baseball, or you don't like children, or love, or America. Because this year the Mets are going to do it. This is the one that we take all the way. And I wouldn't say that unless I say it every year, which I do. And admittedly, many years I am completely wrong. But this one, I don't think so. I really think this is it. So for your tickets, go to Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. The 2007 Mets. Your season has come.
WFAN thanks the following for donations of goods and services to this year's Radiothon. The Hard Rock Cafe, Doriccio Brothers Produce, Academy Bus Company for volunteering transportation, WB Mason for supplies, Changing Our World Incorporated for handling online donations, Sailcaster, pioneers in LED signs since 1950. Call 800-346-4474. And Paytech Communications Incorporated, an authority in combining high-quality customer service with personalized telecommunication solutions.
I'm Tracy Burgess with the Fan Highway Patrol, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. During National Donate Life Month, the New York Organ Donor Network urges you to sign up and be a donor. Talk to your family about your decision. 1-866-99-DONATE or visit organdonor.gov. Starting on the New England Thruway southbound after exit 19, we have a car fire. They're on the scene. They're trying to put it out, but it's still burning, so all lanes are subject to closure. Northbound is real slow, and everybody's looking at this thing. Westchester Avenue, Sheridan overturned truck continues to keep all lanes closed there on the northbound ramp. Grand Central Parkway, westbound at Roosevelt Avenue. All lanes have been cleared. The truck is off the roadway. DOT has left the scene. Heavy delays, though, back to Jackie Robinson. Still 40-minute delays in at the Lincoln, 20th at Holland, 30th at the George. The Imus in the morning 3-day forecast. Partly sunny skies today, high temperatures in the mid-50s, sunny tomorrow, low 50s, and then a nor'easter comes in for Sunday into Monday, snow, rain, and a mess. 45 and cloudy. I'm Tracy Burgess with the Fan Highway Patrol.
And it's 12 minutes now till the top of the hour, this 18th annual WFAN Radiothon. And once again, here is Deidre Imus.
Thanks, Chuck. Good morning. This half hour of the 18th Annual Radiothon for the Tomorrow's Children's Fund, the CJ Foundation for SIDS, and the Imus Ranch for Kids with Cancer is sponsored by Berry Industrial Group, Incorporated. Please make your tax-deductible donation right now, toll-free at 1-877-877-6464. Again, the number's 1-877-877-6464, or online by clicking the WFAN Radiothon banner at WFAN.com. And Peter Berry is here with us from Berry Industrial. And good morning, Peter. Thank you for being here. And thank you for sponsoring this half hour of the 18th Annual Radiothon.
It's our pleasure. We've been doing it for 13 years. And the reason why we started was my mother-in-law had a son that died of SIDS some 50 years ago. And what happened was that she lived on Long Island. And she was put him in the carriage on a nice spring day, and 15 minutes later she came back and she just happened to pass away. So we do it in response to that. And Don, if you're out there listening, I just wanted to say that we've been supporting your efforts to bring SIDS awareness to the public for 13 years, and you're including the Tomorrow's Children Fund. The Imus Ranch, under the fundraising umbrella, has been an amazing effort to bring comfort to those who have been touched by disease and the loss of a loved one. I know those who you have found comfort from selfless efforts are out there cheering for you. WFAN and you have made Berry Industrial Group feel part of a family that looks to the future to help others. And like all families, there's always issues, and we're always learning, and as part of this family, we were there to support your efforts through the tough times as well as the good times. And so hopefully we can continue on with this donation and all the great work that everybody associated has been doing.
Thank you very much, Peter. And again, thank you. This 13 years that you've been supporting these three foundations, these organizations that help children with cancer and families that have lost a child with sudden infant death syndrome. To make a donation right now by calling 1-877-877-6464. Again, that number is 1-877-877-6464. To make a donation online, click on the Radiothon banner at WFAN.com. You could use your Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover card. We are at about over $2.5 million, $516,000. And this half hour, again, is sponsored by the Berry Industrial Group, Incorporated. And, Chuck, are we still, is the 6,000 where we are with the John Mellencamp?
You know, we need an update. I don't know if we've had over 6,000 or not, but that was the last bid we were talking about. If you'd like to describe once again what we're, the special auction item.
Right, it's it's an exclusive, unusual item to auction off here. It's the John Mellencamp has personally written out and signed the lyrics to one of his biggest hits, Pink Houses. We framed it so it'll be a real collector's item. It could be yours right now. You just have to call at 212-299-2700. Again, that number is 212-299-2700. That's a handwritten and signed copy of the lyrics to John Mellencamp's Pink Houses. You could use your Visa, your MasterCard, American Express, or Discover card. And last we heard in the last half hour, it was around it was at $6,000.
And that number, the 212-299-2700 number, is a number we're using exclusively for auction items, as opposed to the number you call just generally for to make a donation by telephone, which is our 877 number, 877-877-6464. So.
And we have the lines ringing. Just please be patient and keep trying if you don't get through. We appreciate all of you calling and supporting the Tomorrow's Children's Fund, the CJ Foundation for SIDS, and the Imus Ranch for Kids with Cancer. Again, this half hour is sponsored by the Berry Industrial Group, Incorporated, and Peter Berry is here with us. And Peter, thank you very much for the 13 years that you have supported. We don't know if we'll have this opportunity again, and we are trying to raise as much money as we can today for these two charities to help all of these children. So we really appreciate your support and your commitment to these children.
When you started out, you probably had no idea that you'd raise this much money and do this much good. And, just keep on doing what you need to do, and things will fall in place because, things happen. Life goes on. So.
Well, and again, thank you. And we have Levon Helm here still, and Larry Campbell, and then the band here. So
Speaking of generous people.
yes, we thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to be with you.
Thank you.
Dedicate this to everybody at home in Woodstock. My latest sun is sinking fast. My race is nearly run. My strongest trials now are past. My triumph has begun. Oh, come, angel band, come and around me stand. Oh, bear me away on your snow white wing to my immortal home. Oh, bear me away on your snow white wing to my immortal home. Oh, bear my longing heart to him who bled and died for me, whose blood now cleanses from all sin and gives us victory. Oh, come, angel band, come and around me stand. Oh, bear me away on your snow white wing to my immortal home. Oh, bear me away on your snow white wing to my immortal home. I know I'm near the holy ranks of friends and kindred so dear. I've brushed they do on Jordan's banks. A crossing must be near. Oh, come, angel band, come and around me stand. Oh, bear me away on your snow white wing to my immortal home. Oh, bear me away on your snow white wing to my immortal home.
to God. That is just fabulous. And, you know, we would be remiss if we didn't ask you to introduce the rest of your folks here.
Yes, thank you, Charles. This is Larry Campbell, of course, here on the fiddle and guitar and bass vocal. This is Paul O'Solo on the bass.
Great.
Paul just broke his arm. This is his first gig on his recovery. Sounds great.
Oh, man.
And this is the great Jimmy Vivino on guitar here with us. My baby, Amy Helm.
Yeah.
And Miss Teresa Williams.
Well, that's terrific. We thank you guys so much. It's just...
Our pleasure.
Thank you again.
Bless your heart. As it's now 9 o'clock straight up Eastern Time on this 18th annual WFAN Radiothon as we head now into the final hour of what could be our final Radiothon. And so it's, you guys have responded wonderfully, and we ask you to continue to do so, please, for this last hour. And just to remind once again, you can make a phone call donation at 1-877-877-6464. Run into volume problems, just continue to call, please. And or you can make a donation online by clicking on the Radiothon banner at WFAN.com. And in either case, have your you can do all of this by a credit card. Have your Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover card ready when you make your donation. This is half an hour ago, we were at $2,516,591, which is extraordinary. So, at a minute past the top of the hour now, time for just a couple of our headline stories. Locally, and this is a national story as well, as I have told you through the morning, his injuries are not said to be life-threatening, but, it is going to be quite a spell. There's going to be a slow recovery for the governor of New Jersey, John Corzine, who was critically injured. He is in stable condition now, but his injuries were initially described as critical after this automobile accident last evening down on the Garden State Parkway. The state Senate President, Richard Cody, has taken over as acting governor for now, and doctors are saying it will be at least 3 months before Governor Corzine can walk normally again. The governor's surgeon, Dr. Stephen Ross, says the governor has broken bones, among other injuries, broken bones in his left leg.
He also has chest injuries with multiple rib fractures, and he will be hospitalized in our intensive care unit in critical but stable condition. He has no head injury.
State troopers in New Jersey, meantime, are trying to locate this red pickup truck, which they believe set off the crash that injured the governor. Governor Corzine remains hospitalized. He's having to have his breathing assisted with a breathing tube. Richard Cody is acting governor. He has served in that position before as an interim governor, and he says that he hopes, Dick Cody, that Corzine will be able to resume some of his duties in a matter of a few weeks. The governor had been on his way when this mishap occurred. He was coming up from the Atlantic City area to Princeton, to the governor's mansion, to take part in the meeting. He was supposed to be the host between Don Imus and the Rutgers University women's basketball team. And we will have more coming up. It's now 3 minutes after the hour.
There's no better way to study the world's best golf swings than to watch them side by side on the range. Move down the line from Arnold Palmer to Fred Couples to Phil Mickelson, and you notice not just the differences, but the similarities, like their wonderful balance, rhythm, and timing. And if you look closely as they leave, you'll notice something else they have in common: the same timepiece, a Rolex Day-Date. Available in 18-karat white or yellow gold or platinum, the Day-Date is put through 15 days and nights of the most grueling testing before it ever leaves Geneva. That ensures that, like these great golfers, it will perform as well in the real world as it does in practice. To see a complete selection of Rolex timepieces, visit your official Rolex jeweler.
See what a new watch can say about you at Tourneau, the world's largest watch store since 1900. Madison at 52nd, 7th Avenue at 34th, the shops at Columbus Circle and Roosevelt Field, the Tourneau Time Machine 57th at Madison, and now at the Walt Whitman Mall, Huntington Station.
Imagine a world where public bathrooms didn't seem like they were used by every single person in the public. Where you could tell bacteria to just back off. Then stop imagining and use Purell. Purell Instant Hand Sanitizer kills 99.99% of most common germs that may cause illness. So when you can't get to soap and water, use Purell. And imagine a touchable world. And now there are 2 new Purell fragrances. spring bloom, and ocean mist. Use as directed.
Brenda Coates is a real Geico customer, not a paid celebrity. So to help tell her story, we hired Mr. Bert Bacharach.
Last year, I was rear-ended by a Geico customer.
I was hit in the rear.
First thought in my mind was about that bunny lizard. I was so impressed with how they handled my claim. I switched.
I hope I'll never get hit in the rear.
Geico. Real service, real savings.
It is now 5 minutes after the hour during this WFAN 18th Annual Radiothon as we head now into our final hour. And once again, the number to call, 1-877-877-6464. Could be a little bit busy, but just keep trying. And you can contact us online. The call is toll-free, by the way, and your donation, of course, is tax deductible. And you can donate right now online at WFAN.com by clicking on the Radiothon banner, and of course we'll be giving you that information through this final hour. Oh, we have a new figure. We're up to $2,667,143.
This is great.
That is extraordinary. Coming up on 6 minutes after the hour, let me give you just a couple of minutes of some of our headline stories. And among those from overseas, Iraq's parliament planned an emergency legislative session today, but very few lawmakers actually showed up for it. A day after this deadly suicide bombing and major security breach that occurred right within, as it's always described, the heavily fortified Green Zone in Baghdad, the bomber actually got into the Parliament building's cafeteria, where a number of the parliamentarians, the legislators, were still having a meal. State television says the Parliament Speaker called today's meeting, though, to, quote, defy terrorism. Many lawmakers were unable to reach the Parliament building because the place is still a mess. Security extraordinarily tight. There is a weekly driving ban on the Muslim Day of Rest, and there is still some confusion about how many people actually died in yesterday's blast. The U.S. military revised its estimate from 8 dead down to 1 fatality, but Iraqi lawmakers and officials say at least two Sunni members of Parliament did die. President Bush condemning the bombing. He stressed that despite the setback, the U.S. would continue to stand with the government, and Secretary of State Rice commented that such attacks could be expected as the security crackdown continued in Baghdad. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid weighed in, saying the bombing was more evidence that the war was not going as planned and U.S. troops should be withdrawn. A couple of the other stories. So far, the reports from areas stricken by an earthquake in Mexico are that there is no loss of life or serious injury as a result of that event. And some tainted food, they're warning you, some tainted pet food may remain on store shelves, and you can get the lists of what has been recalled and what has not as well, simply by, Google the thing. That will take care of it for you. It is now coming up on 8 minutes after the hour, and I will introduce once again the lady who's been gracious enough to come and do all of this through the morning since 6 o'clock as we go into our final hour now. Once again, here's Deidre Imus.
Thank you, Charles McCord. And we have Jeff and Carly Wheeler with us. Their son Liam was with us at the ranch this past summer. He's 15 now, right? And thank you for being here. And Jeff, how is Liam, first of all?
He's doing fine. My line to everybody has always been that he got his leukemia just so he could put his teenage years in perspective for me. But he's in remission now for several years and is doing great. Finally back to reclaiming a normal childhood, which a big part of which he missed due to his illness.
And his cancer, he had ALL?
Yes.
That's correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So the one to get, as they say.
And how long when was he diagnosed?
He was diagnosed in March of 2001. Went through rigorous chemotherapy for a year from then, and then for 3 years after that was on a maintenance program. So he finished up on Bastille Day of 2004, July 14th. Yet another reason for me to remember that date.
I know he was a joy to have at the ranch. He's a good kid. We didn't have any problems at all with him. In fact, he was one of the leaders in his group of children that were with us that go around. And he's a pretty good cowboy. And Carly, you're the mom of Liam. Yes. What do you see in him since he's gone to the ranch? Are there changes that you've seen, or what do you think it's done for your son?
I asked him, actually, what he felt he had gained from this experience, because the night he returned, he never stopped talking. And I really felt personally that this was like a rite of passage for him. It was the point where he became a young man rather than the child that we had known. And the two things that he said to me were, I know I can do just as well, even though I feel as though I've missed a lot of my growing up time the way other kids might have. I feel that after learning how to lasso, after learning how to ride, after learning the parts of a horse, and even after really learning about kids that I might never have met, I feel as though I can face the world and do just about anything. The other thing he said was, I feel as though I can take care of myself now.
Wow.
And we teach our kids, even though we don't think of it, I think actively, we are giving them wings to fly. And in this case, I think, he had the saddle, he had this experience of learning to take care of others. Mm-hmm. He said, besides the learning about being a cowboy, that understanding, and even though I know you say you don't actively talk about it, the kids did have a chance to talk about their shared experiences. And I think that's something that might never have occurred. And I think that's a very important time, that we have to, find ways to continue to give these kids, especially as they grow older. More kids are surviving cancer than ever before. We have to give them the opportunity to be able to interact with each other and help teach the world that this is really a good place, in spite of words that are thrown to each other, that forgiveness and unity are really what it's all about.
Well, Liam is a role model. He's a great kid, and I can see why, because he has two great parents here. And what are you holding? You're holding his belt buckle there? Buddy Wine in the rodeo?
I'm holding it as my good luck charm.
Does he ever wear it? So some of the kids, they want to keep it,
shiny and in the box.
Yes, and some kids are wearing their butt buckle.
So we just spent a week in Sedona with Carly's dad and his wife, and on our last day there, when we were rushing around getting our trinkets to bring back, I figured it was time to get him a belt that went with it.
Yeah.
Actually, it's in the mail. It'll be coming back, but he's finally got a Western Diamondback.
That'll add 5 pounds to him, too, won't it? Yes, actually, Montana Silversmith and Doug Newton donate and do these belt buckles. They've been incredible to the ranch. And those are the belt buckles, the same company that does all the ones for the pro rodeo, for all the professional rodeo.
They're gorgeous.
They're absolutely gorgeous, first class, everything, with what we do at the ranch and with these kids. So they're getting that experience in that rodeo, in that competition, like they do in the rodeos. So,
and Deirdre, really, we have to thank you for everything that you took on. I mean, I read the interviews. You had no idea what this was really going to entail in terms of the time and the work that was necessary to be able to make any one of these 3 charities blossom. And that's what's happening now. And, it was just a first-class experience all the way. And whether it was the special cleansers for his hair and his skin, the hat to help protect him from the sun, the amazing buckle and boots to help really remember this experience. I mean, the care that you put into this is really amazing, and I hope that everyone who's listening recognizes that, the news of when your child is sick or anyone that's close to you is sick is really something that's life-changing. What you've been going through in the last week or so has been life-changing. But you're building, and you have been building, a foundation for the future, for yourselves and for these kids. And we thank you.
Well, thank you. I mean, there's a continuing dialogue going on in my head for every child that I meet and work with at the ranch and become really their surrogate parent. My husband and I are their parents, their surrogate parents while they're there. They live with us in the house. We are the parents. We eat all the meals together. It's a home that we live in together. And, you know, with all the suffering that these children go through and suffering throughout the world, I constantly ask the question, how do you hold that compassion in a world of suffering? And these are the many ways that we're trying to do that and continue to do that. For every child that I do work with, it changes my heart deeper and deeper and more open and more open. So I thank you because we feel, my husband and I, that all the children that come to the ranch give us a gift. The fact that we get to know them so much, so well, and work with them and just witness. We are just creating the environment for them to discover it for themselves. It's not us doing it to them. It's them that are discovering that they can live to their potential. They can, and my husband tells them before they leave, and it's very powerful because a lot of the children have written back and their parents and are now living it, to not let anyone ever tell you can't do something. No matter what, don't let them, and don't take crap off of anyone. So
we're all learning about that.
Yeah. So I thank you, Jeff. Jeff, did you want to say something?
I did. I just wanted to say a couple of things. You had Michael Morgan's mom and Daniel Rosen's mom here yesterday.
Yes.
And the belt buckle brought it up. I just wanted to say that, I mean, I've been listening to your husband's show every morning on my way to work, and the morning that he read the letter that Daniel wrote was one of those